you've been lied to. That savings account you're so proud of? It's not security, it's a cage. While you've been stuffing money under the digital mattress, thinking you're being responsible, you've actually been committing financial suicide in slow motion. Your parents lied, your teachers lied, your financial advisor is lying right now. Because here's what they'll never tell you. Every dollar you save is a vote of no confidence in yourself. Every penny you hoard is a declaration that you don't believe you can earn more. And that belief, it's killing your future. Niccolo Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for peasants who count coins. He wrote it for those who create kingdoms. And if he were alive today, watching you celebrate a $30,000 savings account while your skills rot and your potential dies, he would call you exactly what you are, a well-dressed beggar waiting for permission to live. But here's where it gets interesting. The same man who wrote about conquering fortune through bold action would look at modern savers and see something terrifying. Not wisdom, not prudence, but the slow psychological castration of human potential. Because saving isn't just a bad financial strategy, it's warfare against your own greatness. Let me show you something your bank hopes you never calculate. That $500 you save each month, in 10 years it becomes roughly $60,000. Sounds impressive until you realize that same money invested in yourself could have multiplied your income by 10, 20, even 50 times. But there's something even more sinister happening. While you're adding pennies to your account, inflation is stealing dollars from your future. Every year, your money loses 3 to 5% of its power. You're literally paying to go backwards. Meanwhile, the skills you could have bought with that money, they appreciate forever. Here's the brutal truth. Your savings account is not growing. It's shrinking. And so are you. Machiavelli warned princes against building fortresses instead of building loyalty. Why? Because fortresses can be sieged, but loyalty cannot. Your savings account is a fortress. Your skills are loyalty. Guess which one survives economic warfare? The man who saves thinks he's building security, but security built on money is built on sand. Real security comes from becoming so valuable that money flows to you naturally, so skilled that you can create wealth at will, so irreplaceable that economic chaos becomes an opportunity. But here's what the saver never realizes. You're not just saving money, you're saving yourself from growth, from risk, from the very experiences that would transform you from employee to entrepreneur, from follower to leader. You've become addicted to the feeling of safety without actually being safe. This is the comfort zone trap. Neuroscience proves that low-stress environments breed mediocrity. You need the tension of growth, the anxiety of challenge to activate your highest capabilities. But saving keeps you sedated, comfortable, and slowly dying. And while you sleep, your competitors are learning programming, building networks, starting businesses, becoming dangerous. They're investing in themselves while you're investing in false peace of mind. In 5 years, they'll be your boss. In 10, they'll be unreachable. Here's the sick irony. You save to have freedom later, but you trade your freedom to grow now. You prepare for old age, but never invest in staying young mentally, physically, professionally. You want financial independence, but make yourself dependent on systems you cannot control. The government can inflate your currency. Your bank can change interest rates. The economy can collapse. But they cannot steal your skills. They cannot crash your capabilities. They cannot devalue your network or depreciate your reputation. So why are you betting everything on what they can destroy instead of investing in what they cannot touch? Every financial advisor who tells you to save is selling you a beautiful lie wrapped in responsible language. But let me tell you what they're really doing. They're keeping you manageable, predictable, controllable. The system needs workers who think like workers, who trade time for money, who value security over opportunity, who save rather than invest. Because savers don't build empires. They don't threaten the status quo. They don't become dangerous. But you weren't born to be safe. You were born to be sovereign. Warren Buffett said the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Not in index funds, not in bonds, in yourself. Because unlike every other investment, self-investment has no ceiling. A plumber who learns digital marketing can 10 times his business overnight. A teacher who masters copywriting can build a 6-figure freelance empire. An accountant who understands sales can become a CFO. But the plumber who saves, the teacher who saves, the accountant who saves, they remain exactly what they are forever. Here's what nobody tells you about compound interest. Knowledge compounds faster than money. Skills compound exponentially. Relationships compound infinitely. When you learn a skill, you don't just add to your abilities, you multiply them. Each new capability makes every previous one more powerful. Money is not wealth. It's just the shadow of wealth. Real wealth is power. The power to create, influence, adapt, command outcomes rather than hope for them. And power cannot be saved. It must be forged. Think like a prince, not a peasant. A prince doesn't hoard gold while enemies sharpen swords. He invests in armies, spies, alliances. He builds capabilities that generate gold at will, not hoards that can be stolen or inflated away. Your mind is your army. Your skills are your weapons. Your network is your intelligence service. But you've been trained to think like a peasant, to hide resources, avoid risk, play small in a game where only the bold survive. Here's what they never told you about saving. Saving is more than a financial strategy. It's psychological programming. Every time you choose the savings account over the investment in yourself, you're training your mind for scarcity. You're conditioning yourself to think small, act defensively, and accept limitations. This creates what psychologists call learned helplessness. You become so accustomed to playing it safe that you lose the ability to recognize opportunity. So comfortable with mediocrity that excellence feels impossible. So addicted to preservation that creation becomes foreign. Look around you. The most successful people you know didn't save their way to the top. They invested, risked, failed, learned, and tried again. They understood something fundamental that savers never grasp. Failure is data, not disaster. Every failed investment in yourself teaches you something. Every saved dollar teaches you nothing. But there's something even more insidious happening. While you've been saving $10,000, someone else has been investing that same amount in learning high-value skills. They've attended masterminds, hired coaches, started businesses, built networks. That $10,000 didn't sit in the bank locker. It transformed them. Now they can charge $200 per hour for consulting. You still charge whatever your boss decides to pay you. They have multiple income streams. You have one. They create value. You exchange time for money. They built leverage. You built a savings account. This is the opportunity cost that financial advisors never calculate. It's not just the money you didn't make on investments. It's the person you didn't become, the skills you didn't develop, the connections you didn't make, the businesses you didn't start. Every year you delay investing in yourself is not just 1 year lost, it's exponential loss. Because the person you could have become in year 1 would have been more capable in year 2, more connected in year 3, more valuable in year 4. Machiavelli understood that true power comes from leverage, the ability to achieve maximum results with minimum effort. But saving is the opposite of leverage. It's linear thinking in an exponential world. Save $1,000, you have $1,000. Invest $1,000 in learning sales. You could earn an extra $10,000 that year. Invest $1,000 in building a network. You could access opportunities worth millions. Invest $1,000 in starting a side business. You could build passive income streams. The saver thinks in addition. The investor thinks in multiplication. The saver asks, how can I add to my savings? The investor asks, how can I multiply my capabilities? This is why rich people get richer and poor people stay poor. It's not because of unfair advantages, it's because of different thinking. Rich people invest in assets that generate more assets. Poor people save money that generates pennies, or worse, they buy liabilities that cost them even more. But here's where it gets darker. Society needs savers. The economic system depends on people who park their money in banks, so those banks can lend it to entrepreneurs at higher interest rates. Your savings account funds someone else's business dreams while you collect crumbs. Think about it. Banks pay you 1% on savings and charge 8% on business loans. They're using your money to fund other people's investments while giving you just enough to feel like you're earning something. You're not a customer. You're the product. This is why they promote savings so aggressively. It's not for your benefit, it's for theirs. They need your capital to fund their profits. And they've convinced an entire generation that this arrangement is wisdom. Meanwhile, the people who understand the game are on the other side of the transaction. They're borrowing your money to build businesses, buy real estate, create value. They're using debt as a tool while you're using savings as a crutch. Let's talk about the silent killer nobody mentions. Inflation doesn't just reduce your purchasing power, it destroys your future options. That $50,000 you've saved over 5 years, in real terms, it's worth about $40,000 today. You've lost $10,000 by doing the right thing. But the psychological damage is worse than the financial loss. You've spent 5 years training yourself to think defensively, 5 years conditioning your mind for scarcity, 5 years building habits that make you smaller, not larger. Compare that to someone who spent those 5 years investing in themselves. They're not just financially ahead, they're psychologically transformed. They think bigger, act bolder, see opportunities everywhere. They've built an abundance mindset while you've reinforced a scarcity one. This is why breaking free from the saving trap is so difficult. It's not just about changing your financial strategy. It's about rewiring your entire relationship with risk, opportunity, and self-worth. Here's something savers never consider. Money saved is social capital wasted. Every course you don't take, every conference you don't attend, every mastermind you don't join is a network you don't build. Networks are the ultimate compound interest. One connection can change your entire trajectory. One conversation can open doors you didn't know existed. One relationship can multiply your income by 10. But networks require investment. You have to show up, contribute value, build relationships. This costs money up front with uncertain returns, so the saver avoids it. They choose the guaranteed mediocrity of compound interest over the exponential potential of human connection. The result? They become increasingly isolated in a world that rewards collaboration. They miss opportunities because they don't know the right people. They struggle with problems that others could solve because they haven't invested in relationships. While your money earns 1% interest, your skills are depreciating at 10% per year. Technology changes. Industries evolve. What made you valuable 5 years ago might be automated tomorrow. The accountant who doesn't learn AI will be replaced by AI. The marketer who doesn't understand digital will be obsoleted by those who do. The manager who doesn't develop leadership skills will be passed over by those who invest in growth. This is the hidden cost of saving. You're not only missing opportunities to grow, you're falling behind the pace of change. Every dollar you save instead of investing in learning is a bet that the future will look like the past. That bet is already losing. The deepest trap of saving is how it shapes your identity. Savers see themselves as responsible, prudent, mature. But these labels become limitations. When your identity is built around preservation, creation feels threatening. When your self-image depends on playing it safe, taking risks feels wrong. This identity trap keeps people stuck long after they intellectually understand the problem. They know they should invest in themselves, but it feels inconsistent with who they think they are. So they rationalize, they find excuses, they delay. But identity can be chosen. You can decide to see yourself as an investor instead of a saver, as someone who builds rather than preserves, as someone who creates value rather than hoards it. This shift in self-perception changes everything. Here's the final piece most people miss. When you're young, you have time but no money. When you're old, you have money but no time. The window for investing in yourself is narrow and irreplaceable. Your 20s and 30s are when your brain is most plastic, your energy highest, your obligations fewest. This is when investment in yourself pays the highest returns. But it's also when you're most tempted to save because you don't have much. The 30s and 40s are where you rise to peak based on your early investments and plans. But it's still not too late for you to start at 40. The 60-year-old with $1 million in savings can't buy back the opportunities of youth or the peak 10-year of the 30s to 40s. He can't become a programmer, start a tech company, or build a global network. Time doesn't compound, it disappears. This is why Machiavelli emphasized acting over waiting, why he valued boldness over caution. He understood that certain opportunities exist only in certain seasons. Miss the season, and no amount of saved money can buy it back. The greatest wealth transfer in history is happening right now. From the skilled to the unskilled, from the adaptive to the static, from those who invest in themselves to those who save dollars. Artificial intelligence is making routine jobs obsolete while making creative, strategic, interpersonal skills more valuable than ever. The nurse who learns leadership becomes a healthcare executive. The mechanic who masters business becomes a shop owner. But the nurse who saves, the mechanic who saves, they become casualties of progress. Every month you delay is a month you fall behind the curve of relevance. Every dollar saved instead of invested in skills is a bet against your own future. Here's what's happening while you save. An entire generation is emerging that thinks completely differently about money. They don't save to feel secure. They invest to become anti-fragile. They don't preserve wealth. They create it. These people understand something your generation was never taught. In a world of infinite leverage, the only scarce resource is attention. Your attention. Their success depends not on how much money they can save, but on how effectively they can deploy their focus to build assets that generate returns. While you're researching which savings account offers 0.5% instead of 0.4% interest, they're learning skills that will be worth millions. While you're calculating compound interest on $10,000, they're building personal brands worth 10 times that. The gap isn't just financial, it's philosophical. Machiavelli understood that power unused is power lost. The same principle applies to money. Money sitting in savings is not only earning less than inflation, it's moving too slowly to create real impact. Rich people understand velocity. They move money quickly through investments, businesses, opportunities. Poor people understand security. They move money slowly into savings accounts where it sits and rots. The rich use money as a tool. The poor use it as a blanket. This is why the wealthy often carry debt while having substantial assets. They understand that borrowed money used to acquire cash-flowing assets is better than saved money, earning negative real returns. They leverage other people's money to build wealth while you're saving your own money to feel safe. The psychological difference is profound. When you save, you're saying, I don't trust myself to make good investments. When you invest, you're saying, I trust myself to create value. In today's economy, your reputation is your most valuable asset, but reputation cannot be saved. It must be built through action, investment, risk-taking, and visible value creation. Every conference you don't attend because you're saving money is a reputation-building opportunity missed. Every course you don't take is expertise you don't develop. Every business you don't start is a story you can't tell. Every risk you don't take is credibility you don't earn. People don't do business with savers. They do business with doers. They don't hire the person with the biggest savings account. They hire the person with the most relevant skills and strongest reputation. They don't partner with those who play it safe. They partner with those who demonstrate they can execute. Your LinkedIn profile doesn't have a section for money saved. It has sections for experiences, achievements, skills, and connections. None of these can be accumulated through saving. All of them require investment. Here's the mathematical reality that terrifies savers. The downside of investing in yourself is limited, but the upside is unlimited. The worst that can happen when you invest $5,000 in learning a skill, you're out $5,000. The best that can happen, you 100 times your earning potential. But saving has the opposite risk profile. The best that can happen is you earn slightly above inflation. The worst that can happen is economic collapse, currency devaluation, or hyperinflation wipes out everything you've accumulated. This is what Machiavelli meant about fortune being a woman who must be conquered by force. Passive strategies like saving leave you at the mercy of forces beyond your control. Active strategies like self-investment put you in control of your own destiny. The saver hopes external systems remain stable. The self-investor becomes the system. One depends on the economy. The other becomes recession-proof. One fears change. The other profits from it. Something magical happens when you start investing in yourself instead of saving. Your confidence compounds. Every new skill makes you feel more capable. Every new connection makes you feel more supported. Every new investment in your growth makes you feel more valuable. This confidence shift changes how you show up in the world. You negotiate better salaries. You pursue bigger opportunities. You take calculated risks that savers would never consider. You start thinking like an owner instead of an employee. Savers, on the other hand, compound insecurity. The more they save, the more they need to save to feel safe. The more they accumulate, the more they fear losing it. They become increasingly risk-averse, which makes them increasingly irrelevant in a world that rewards the bold. This is the hidden psychology of wealth building. Confidence creates opportunities. Fear destroys them. Investment builds confidence. Saving reinforces fear. Most savers think they're building something to pass down to their children. But what legacy are you really leaving? A bank account that gets spent, or a mindset that gets replicated? When you model saving behavior, you teach your children to think small, act defensively, and fear risk. When you model investment behavior, you teach them to think big, act strategically, and embrace opportunity. The children of savers often become savers themselves, perpetuating cycles of mediocrity across generations. The children of investors learn to see money as a tool for creation, not preservation. They inherit not just wealth, but the mindset that created it. Which legacy serves your family better? A pile of money that will be spent, or a way of thinking that will generate wealth for generations? You have a choice. Continue the peasant strategy of saving, preserving, playing small, hoping for security in an insecure world. Or adopt the prince strategy of investing, growing, playing big, creating security through capability. The peasant saves for winter. The prince builds an empire that makes winter irrelevant. The peasant hoards grain. The prince plants orchards. The peasant fears the future. The prince creates it. Machiavelli's ghost is watching, and he doesn't respect the savers. He respects the strategists. He honors the bold. He crowns the capable. Stop saving. Start investing. Not just your money. Invest your time, energy, attention in becoming the type of person who doesn't need to save because they can always earn. That is the path of virtue. That is the way of the prince. That is how you win the only game that matters. Fortune favors the bold, but only the skilled can keep what fortune gives. The choice is yours, but choose knowing this. Every day you save instead of invest is a vote for mediocrity. Every dollar you hoard instead of deploy is a declaration of your own limitations. Are you ready to stop being a peasant and start being a prince?